The skeleton has oddly shaped feet. The skeleton has oddly shaped feet. Unique New York, unique New York, unique New York. Unique New York. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Sandy sells seashells by the seashore. Sandy sells seashells by the seashore. Yo, people, what is going on? This is AK Spartan Killer, and welcome back to the episode of Dr. Zach. Dr. Zach or Dr. Zach? I can't believe I forgot that. I was like, is it Dr. AK? You could see my brain be like, huh! So, I have another series of question and answers that happened from the last video. Now you can see that I'm actually in my office, and it's a mess. But look at that, I found my old vintage Halo 2 signed commemorative edition thing. You want to see it? I know you do. I lied, it's Halo 3. Look at this thing. It's number 422 out of 500. Check that out. Pretty dope, right? The limited edition Mylar print. Can you even see that? Yeah, girl. It's from Bungie. The fifth in a series of prints by 5 different artists. Limited edition of 500. 422 is not that special. I come to find out. But it is actually pretty dope. I've had this thing for a long time because I think I got it with the Halo 3 when it came out. Anyway, back to the show. So I actually had a question asked from not the real Jack F. He said, I have a question, or she said, I have a question. How much money should you have saved before starting a family? That is a very tricky question. It depends on where you live. It depends on what kind of income you have. It depends on a ton of things. Like, imagine if you had $1,000 and you could survive on that $1,000 and you were gradually adding to keep it at $1,000. Then you'd be fine. But if you lived in a place where it costs $10,000 to raise a family, then you have to make $10,000 and then keep adding to it. In long story short, there really is no right answer. It depends on what you want to do. There's people that have kids that make literally no money and their kids grow up just, I wouldn't say normal, but I would say they just grow up just fine. And there's people who make hundreds of millions of dollars and their kids grow up just fine. It depends on how much you want to spoil your kid. It depends on how comfortable you are. I mean, just me, I want to have a lot of money so that way I don't really need to stress out if I'm going to be able to afford diapers or if I'm going to be able to afford baby food. If I even have a kid. Dun dun dun. It just depends on your comfort level. Myself personally, I would say have at least like 10 grand in the bank account. That way you could go out and get diapers. You can go take your kid to Chuck E. Cheese. You can go take your kid out to, the park or go to Disney World or whatever. And you don't really have to stress out about money. That's my personal philosophy. I hate worrying about finances and I hate worrying about money. So I tend to make sure that that's safe first and then I do other expenditures. But I mean, user results are going to vary. People make $100 a year and they just fine. People make $1 million a year and they're just fine. It all comes down to what you want. Next question is, what is an actual realistic path for the career? It depends on what makes you happy, right? There's people that are perfectly fine and they're super happy being a janitor. And I've heard of some stories of some guys being janitors and they retire with like $2 million because they don't spend it. And they're just like, yeah, I was a janitor for 30 years. They get a really good pension because they're with the school system. And then they retire. And then there's some people that are like, I don't want to stop learning. I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm going to work in the military, or I'm going to do this. It all comes down to personal preference. Nobody can really tell you what you want to do. I would say 95% of adults don't even know what they want to do when they grow up. I know, speaking from experience, I have no idea what I want to do when I grow up. I have so many things that I'm doing right now. I just don't know. I'm just trying to keep myself busy because that's fun for me. I feel like that's what I need to be when I grow up, is a multitasker. What jobs are in demand? I would say medical is almost always in demand. Anything that has to do with medical. Maybe veterinarians, maybe. The IT sector definitely has a high demand. However, if you go into the IT sector, it's a pretty big turnaround or churn rate or whatever you want to call it. Basically, you work there for like 4 or 5 months and then you get fired and you find another place and you work there for 4 or 5 months. It's kind of like a revolving door, if you will. I've worked at a ton of tech companies. it's a very much a revolving door. Either you don't like the way the pay structure is, you don't like the way management is run, it's a startup company and they're just figuring things out, they got too big too fast, they had to downsize. There's a lot of different things, but tech and nursing, I believe, tech and medical are two really big fields. I'm not entirely sure though. How do I make money and not hate my job? Good freaking question. Back when I was going to the gym a lot, I used to go to LA Fitness, and they were like, dude, when are you gonna come here work for us? When are you gonna, do this? You're in shape, you can teach other people, yada, yada, yada. And my response to them was the same every single time. I said, I don't wanna work for you, because the minute you tell me to start coming here, I'm not gonna wanna come here anymore, and then I'll stop working out. There's a very, very few percentage of people, and I believe that those percentage of people is people who work for themselves, that actually do not hate their job, and they make money. So if your passion's photography, or music making, or videography, or something like those with really cool jobs, to me at least, I feel like those guys are happy, or they don't hate their job. Happiness is a totally different thing. But I feel like they don't mind going into work and they're like, oh, I get to do this. But if you're forced to do something all the time, every day, and you do it for 8 hours, it's gonna get old after a while and you're gonna get burned out. I think. That's what I do. I get really bored with a job really fast, and that's why I do 10,000 different things. Do I need to know my career path right out of high school? Absolutely not. There's people that take different walks of life. Some people go from high school straight into college and they know exactly what they want to do. Good for them. And maybe 20 years down the line, they're like, I've made a huge mistake. I missed out on all of my teenage years and all of my young adult years by trying to get where I am, but they could be financially rewarded for it. Or you have the people who go to school, they get done with school, they mess around for 5 years, then they go to college, they drop out of college, they get another job, and they work their way up. I mean, you've seen me in the other video where I'm not a huge fan of college just because the system is horribly broken and you're gonna go into debt, and I think that it's meant to keep you in debt, which is no way to live your life. Like I said, I'm very financially mindful. So, I mean, it depends on what you want to do. If you say, you know what, I just want to, let me backtrack that. Tomorrow you could get hit by a bus. You could get a heart attack. You could have a stroke and have your life forever changed. The way that I live my life is, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. I'm not more along the lines of, I need to do this because everybody else is telling me to do this. I found out that that's the worst way to live your life. I tend to do what I want to do. I'm very stubborn. I'm a very, very stubborn person. And the motto that I've always lived with is, if you're not paying my bills, your opinion doesn't really matter to me. You're not going to tell me what to do if you have no direct impact on my life. And I've mentioned this in so many other Dr. Zach videos, and my mind still hasn't changed, because I'm not here to live for anybody else. I'm here to live for myself. I've had numerous people say, hey, you play video games for a living, YouTube's never going to work out. And I said, even if I have 10 people that watch me and they get encouragement, that's enough for me to keep doing it. So I'm doing stuff because I want to do it. If you're not paying my bills, I can listen to your opinion. I'm not just going to be totally rude to you, but I'm going to take it with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, I need to be happy with my life choices. So that's kind of the way I live my life. So that was it. That was it for the career section. And now let's talk about finances. Yay! My specialty. There is how to have good credit, how to budget, how to manage money responsibly. So I think how to budget and how to manage money responsibly is kind of in the same realm of things. What I do is I have a spreadsheet that has all of my fixed income or my fixed outcome. So, like your internet, your cell phone, if you don't get any overages, that's a set amount. Your cable, your car insurance, your house payment. That's all stuff that's not really gonna change. You can account for that if it does, but I keep that up here. And then underneath it, I have the variables. So like the electricity, the water, expenditures, credit cards, what have you. Those are down here in the bottom. And so what I do is each month, I take a look and I put in all of my expenditures, and then I put in all the ones that are variables, and I come up with a total outcome. So let's say that my outcome is, $1,000, and I'm spending $1,000 a month total in that month. Well, I know that I need to make at least $1,000 in order to survive, and I would like to make more than that. So what I'll do is I'll have another slot down at the bottom that has my paychecks, and I'll put in my paycheck number 1, paycheck number 2, paycheck number 3, paycheck number 4, however many paychecks you make in a month. And what you'll do is there's a formula, I use Google Sheets, there's a formula in Google Sheets where you can add up all of these, make it a sum. It's like equals, sum, quotation mark, the cells that you want, end quotation mark, it'll give you a sum. And then you take the adding part, or you take your paychecks, you do the equals sum, and then you can take away from this box, take it away from this box and put it in a new box. So that way you can find out exactly how much positive or how much negative you're going each month. And that really helped out a lot when I was first starting to become budget conscious, because that helps you get a good gauge on what you're spending your money on. You can even go into finer micro details as far as, my entertainment is X amount. I'm spending this much on soda. I'm spending this much on games. I'm spending this much on computer parts. And you can break it down and see what area of your life is affecting your finances. But don't go cutting all of that stuff out, because you need to have some mental well-being. If having one video game a month and you can spare $60 or $40 if you get them on sale, or you have a price point, don't neglect that to try to save $40. It's not worth it if you don't have anything to use your time with. That's how I budget. I'm a very, very cheap person. I don't like spending money at all. The only time that I spend money is for investment. This will be the last one, is buying a car versus leasing a car. So it depends on what you want to do. Leasing a car is good if you want to upgrade a car every couple of years. It should be like every 2 or 3 years. You turn in the car, you turn in the keys, you say, give me a new one. As long as it's good, they give you a new one. You put some more money down, and then you're like renting, long-term renting a car. You don't really have any equity in it. That's pretty much it. And the reason why they get the rate so low, like you've seen it where they're like, Hondas are $129 a month. Well, they finance the amount of time that vehicle is going to depreciate. So let's say you have a $20,000 car. By the time you turn it in, it's going to be $15,000. They're going to finance that $5,000 over the course of 72 months. And that's how you get a super, super low monthly payment. Because they know at the end of that, you're going to turn it in, and then they can turn around and sell it for whatever the depreciated cost is. Leasing a car is very good for the business aspect, kind of good for your aspect. It depends on what it is that you want to do. I tend to look at leasing a car as very good. If you don't have that much capital, you do have to put probably like $2,000 to $4,000 down, and then you get that car for 3 months. Normally it's under like 12,000 miles a year, and then you turn it in, and then you can get a new one. Whereas buying a car, you have the entire amount of the car that you have to finance, minus the down payment that you put down. So if you see yourself as having your car for a very, very long time, then buying a car would make sense, because then you actually have it's not an asset. It is what's the other word? It's like expense. Is that what it is? Asset and expense? I think it's called an expense. It's been a while since I messed around with that. But you're not going to make any money from a car. If you drive it off the lot, brand spanking new, it's going to take an instant hit the minute it leaves the lot. You're not going to be able to turn around and sell it for what you bought it for. Because somebody's going to say, I can just go get a brand new one, and you didn't even sit in it, so why do I want to pay that? So it's going to take an instant loss. The best, I feel the age range to get a car at is between 4 to 5 years old. That has low mileage on it. I normally don't touch cars that are around the 180, 200,000 mile mark, unless they're diesels and they've been taken care of, because diesels can go for 400,000 miles. But I tend to stick around this 60 to 150 range. It all depends on what you want to do. There's some people that love leasing cars and they just put down the money and then they can turn around and just get a brand new one all the time. That's the main differences between buying and leasing a car. It all depends, on my point of view, from how much capital you have and how long you're going to keep the car for. If you're moving to a new country and you're only there on like a work visa, why go through the hassle of buying a car and then buying a car, or maybe you come over to America from Europe and you're like, I'm only here for 3 years on a work visa, lease a car, and then you can just give it back into the dealership and then go back home. It all depends on what you want to do. Everybody's situation is different. But hopefully I answered those questions correctly. If you do disagree with me, throw it down in the comments. If you have some more questions, throw it down in the comments. Or if you like this video, throw a like up. If you didn't like it, throw a dislike up. Like I said, I'm judging all these series based on the view to like ratio, so if it doesn't hit that threshold, you probably won't see it again. Or you might see it once in a while, but I do want to give you guys good content. So if you're new here, sure to hit that subscribe button. If you want to join me on Discord, ask me questions, what have you, link's down in the description. If you want to join the Patreon, link is down in the description. That will basically give you access to new videos that come out before they even come out. You're gonna get like an access to a trailer to see stuff before anybody else does. And you also get entered into cool giveaways. I just got a computer case, which will show up in a vlog. I'll do a Patreon update vlog-ish kind of thing. And you get to see the case. The case is super nice. And like I said, that's only going to be available to Patreon supporters for as little as like $1 a month. You get access to all that stuff, and you get access to the early access room in Discord, and you're going to get links to all of the videos. And you can go check them out whenever you want, and you can see them before everybody else. So, as of right now, it looks like our time is up. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Leave a comment down below whatever you are thinking, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace!